Hey, it's Chuck.
And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is, Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
Hey, welcome to Chuck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me. Generally, guys, sorry, I'm having a microphone issue here. We are joining for another decision, guys. We got a decision. This one, Jerquaden Giuilford, the number one player in Indiana, a wide receiver, of course, 6'2", 190 pounds, a 3-star kid till very recently. They just redid the rankings over at Rivals, and he has gone from a 3-star to a 4-star, number 330 overall, I believe. Let me pull up his card here. And a big boost for our guy here. So number 328 overall, the number 53 overall wide receiver. And I'm going to pull up his little bit of his film here while I'm talking. But Giuilford, the Buckeyes currently sitting with 4 wide receivers right now, with Chris Henry Jr., Caden Dixon-Wyatt, Brock Boyd, and Jaden Ricketts. And Chris Henry Jr. obviously is the difference maker here. That's very apparent with his size and his speed and the way he gets in and out of breaks. His arm length is ridiculous. His catch radius is huge. Not going to be Jeremiah Smith, but in college, he's going to be an absolute monster. Caden Dixon-Wyatt, a guy with, there's some differing opinions on. Caden Dixon-Wyatt, 247, has him as the number 6 overall wide receiver in the country. On 3 Rivals just did their most recent update. They had an opportunity to correct how low they were on him. They didn't. He's still their 45th wide receiver, which is just bizarre, man. Then you got Brock Boyd, who's the burner from South Lake Carroll, fastest wide receiver in his class. And in this class, 21.7 200 meter, which is absolutely flying. And he plays with that kind of speed on the field as well. Also the most productive wide receiver out of all these guys. And that's a guy that Brian Hartline went down to a TCU commitment. And that's a deep cut, man. We talked about evaluations this class. That's going and finding someone and making it happen. That's a guy he really wanted. And that gives me a ton of confidence. And it's very intriguing when the best position coach in the country goes and says, like, that's the guy I want, a kind of off the radar guy. That always is very intriguing. And at 6'1", 187, he is 247's number 111 wide receiver, the 103rd best player in Texas. So 247, not high on the Buckeye wide receivers. And it does sometimes blow my mind when these guys don't recognize, okay, hold on a second. Brian Hartline wants this kid. Maybe we should take another look. Maybe we missed it there. Then you got in-state Jaden Ricketts from Pataskala, Ohio, a 4-star, top 250-ish kid, wide receiver number 45 in the country. This is a guy who's sharing podiums with Jameer Brown, and he earned his offer off of camps in person with Brian Hartline. So I love this group of wide receivers, even if it does only finish with 4. There has been some rumblings. I don't know how real they are, but potentially Ricketts may not end up in this class. Just putting it out there, not sure, but some rumblings. But as far as the Ohio State wide receiver prospects, like these dudes, I would rank them, and I'm going to pull up a little quick Chris Henry Jr. if you haven't seen. He's dropped a lot, but he didn't play much. That's one of his highlights, one of his few highlights from this year. And you just get to see him and Caden Dixon-Wyatt in this clip, which I really love. Caden Dixon-Wyatt's going to come in number 4 here. And you could just see these two, like, picture it in Buckeyes uniforms without that horrible helmet. Like, these dudes are a pair, man. And I really like that. So really high on those two. I'm really high on Brock Boyd. I'm really high on Jerquaden Giuilford. I think this guy's a real gem. Indiana, of course, produced Caden Curry, fan favorite. Ian Moore, can't wait to see Ian Moore out there. Brian Hartline consistently winning and making up for that, making up that money gap that other coaches sometimes can't make up. And of course he can. He's the best position coach in the country. Not everybody can do that. But this Ohio State class coming off a national championship, I don't know what you guys expected. Obviously, we've seen a ton of change in the rules, a ton of change in the format. We could talk about that. But, you know, last year, I don't recall exactly where we were at this point. but Ohio State had the number one class for quite a long time. And coming off the national championship, I was under the impression the Buckeyes would be in the hunt for it again. And certainly was not expecting what's going on right now. Definitely not. The thing to remember about Ohio State's classes is they generally fizzle out late. Generally, the last 2 months, it's a class that's always going down, and we're trying to hold on at the very end to remain that number 5 spot. And usually we do, usually 4 or 5. That is something to keep in mind. Maybe this year we have a role reversal. We know that there are a lot of teams who have made a lot of promises that they might not be able to keep. Those promises were based off of paying kids money that they thought they were going to be able to pay them through the collective with deals that they thought were going to be passed by the clearinghouse. Those deals have all been rejected. So they're sitting down with the guy saying, I'm going to give you $400,000 in revenue sharing and $200,000 in NIL. The kid says, okay, it's a deal. He commits. And now all of a sudden they're realizing, well, we're not going to be able to fulfill that promise with that NIL money unless something changes. Well, that may change. It may not. That point of contention as far as NIL collectives paying guys is going to be fought out here between the I keep saying CDC, the CSC, College Sports Commission, who represents the schools and the conferences, and the House plaintiff attorneys who represent everybody else. And they're going to argue this point out. And whoever wins that battle, this thing is going to be drastically different. That's a huge battle here right now. Maybe the biggest right now as far as things that are going to affect this immediately going forward. And if they lose that battle, it's status quo for Ohio State. If they win that battle and collectives are allowed to pay, that means that everybody is allowed to continue with these massive deals. But it also means that it opens up the door for Ohio State to be able to do the same thing, which they have not been. But it makes it legal under the rules for them to do it. Now, we know they're following the rules. Ross Bjork is in on this. He has dug his heels in. He's in ground one, right on the floor. Part of the rulemaking guys, the CSC committee, like he's all in on it. So if this becomes a rule that they can now use the collectives in this way, do we see Ohio State start coming out in full force? We could see that. We know that there has been a couple of guys that they've upped their offers for substantially. The other program just kept upping them. And if they're not operating off a salary cap, and you don't have a salary cap with NIL, which is what a lot of these schools were doing, they're offering NIL deals just like nothing changed. And they thought that they were going to be able to get away with that, even Steven. Well, maybe they will. We'll see what happens with that case. But I think that we're going to find out one way or another pretty soon, hopefully in time for Ohio State to be able to open their wallets and make some things happen for themselves. But when we look at this class that is now down to number 9 in the country, and that is something I'll pull it up here for you guys. Like, there's a lot of people obviously very irritated about this. I try to keep a positive attitude because, the bottom line is there are a lot of really great players in this class that I really like. When you look, you got USC has jumped back on top of Georgia. Notre Dame's sitting at 3, and Marcus has just killed it this year. Texas A&M at 4. They have spent a ton of money. Bama at 5. Oregon at 6. Texas just jumps to number 7. LSU number 8. Buckeyes number 9. Michigan 10. Miami 11. Clemson 12. And Florida 13. Now, Michigan, Miami, Clemson, and Georgia and Florida are in a real tight pack here, a real tight pack. Ohio State with a decent lead over them. But there is a chance if this goes south that Ohio State could finish below, all of them, quite honestly. We need to see some things pick up. We really do. It's been, you would say like by the numbers, kind of a nightmare of a class, but then you look at the guys, right? You got a lot of quality guys. There's just a lot of misses that have been out there, and you haven't done what we've seen Georgia do. Georgia loses their 5-star defensive lineman last week. He flips to Texas. What do? They sign up, or they get the commitment of Valdin Soni, who is excellent defensive tackle. One of the Germany kids, like Hero, same guy brought him over. and he's raw, but I think he's just as talented. So they get him. They lose Atkinson, they get Abrams, and it's just like Ohio State hasn't been backfilling like that, like Georgia has, and Georgia operates very similar to Ohio State in a lot of ways. Kirby cannot stand paying these young guys, just like Ryan Day. Like they have the same philosophy. They think it sours chemistry. They don't like it at all, and I get it. And there are certain guys that I'm all for paying. There's other guys that I'm not. But something's got to give here, and my hope is that we only see this for 1 year, right? If it's kind of just a hold on to your butt class and we see things kind of straighten out next year, it's all good. You can have 1 year where it's kind of down and everything's just fine with your 4 and 5 year rolling classes, because that's what really matters, not just one. But if this goes on multiple years, it could potentially be a long-term issue. But oh my gosh. Oh, hold on. You guys with this Olavi was a 3-star, man. Oh no, we got a bum in here. Get out of here, bum. All right, let's see. Our guy is coming on live here pretty soon. Jerquaden Giuilford, beast wide receiver. And this guy's not like he's not the number 5 wide receiver out of these guys. That's for sure. I think I would rank them. I think I'd rank him number 3. I would rank it Chris Henry Jr., Caden Dixon-Wyatt, Jerquaden Giuilford, Brock Boyd, Jaden Ricketts. Now, Jaden Ricketts, look, no slouch. There's not a lot of film on him. We know he's a burner. Here's Ricketts, if you've not really seen Ricketts. And I know there's not a ton of great stuff on him, but you can see the wheels in a couple of these plays. You can just see the explosion coming off the line there. Like, look at that speed. That dude burns, man. And that's our dude from Pataskala. There's another play in here that is just ridiculous. I don't think this is it. A lot of people underselling him, in my opinion. I'm expecting a big senior season out of him. But boy, there's one play. I hope we can get to it. Not this one, though this one is slick. I think it's this one. This dude is smooth, man. Look at that. All right. We've got some movement here. Looks like they are about to come on with Giuilford. Let me pull that up. Where is it? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find this here. Share screen, right? All right, I'm going to mute that for a second, and we will see. It looks like he's going to come on pretty soon here, and we will get the decision of our man, Jerquaden Giuilford. E. Thompson says, the coaches can see something in high school players most schools are blind to. That's why I'm not worried about the D-line. Oh, yeah, you got a scum guy in here? Yeah, we don't deal with those dudes here. Yeah, hit the like button, everybody. That's sweet. All right, what's funny about it? What's funny about it is, matter of fact, I'm going to do a whole segment about it. How about that? Let me take a clip about it. It's like a reflexive Ohio State thing, and we're going to have a whole discussion about it because I've got a lot to say about it. So, yeah, don't sleep on Ricketts, says our buddy Mike Leffler. Absolutely. Can't sleep on the Ricketts. What's up, Terry? All right. Here is Alan True from 247. Let me unmute that so you guys can hear with me.
Football YouTube channel, where we have a very special announcement coming up. That is the commitment of Fort Wayne Northrop wide receiver Jerquaden Giuilford. As has happened for most of the year, we're hosting live commitments, and he is ready to announce.
Sorry, the answer is yes, absolutely. I saw in the comment. Yes, he is. He's picking Buckeyes here. Is the answer.
To continue evaluating into the fall very fast. 4.4740 laser verified at the Under Armour All-America camp. He was 6'2", over 190 pounds at that camp, and still running 4.47, running in the low fours as a shuttle, and has an outstanding catch radius. Hard worker from all of his coaches and trainers at Traction AP. And he has narrowed his list down to really just 2 schools, Ohio State and Ole Miss. There were several other schools that were a factor here. Michigan recruited him. Penn State recruited him. Tennessee, Indiana, Purdue, but it is down to the Buckeyes and the Rebels. And after a little bit of a delay to make sure he was making the right decision, he is now ready to announce that commitment to the world. So we now take you out to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and live from the aforementioned Traction AP, a training facility that has hosted many of the Hoosier State's best for many years. And we welcome in Jerquaden Giuilford and the rest of his crew. Quay, first, getting ready to announce the decision here. I know you come from a big family. First, how has your family helped shape the athlete and the person that you've become today?
Uh-oh. Quay, turn your mic on.
Oh, had you muted for a quick second there. Can you repeat that? How has your family helped shape you into the person you are today?
I said, really, everybody has their part, but my mom is the biggest one with her hard work every day. She's always working, so that's my biggest drive.
And you're right there at Traction AP. I know Dre Muhammad says he's worked with you since the 7th grade. Can you talk about Dre, Traction AP, and how they've shaped you into the person and athlete that is about to commit?
I mean, Traction is bigger than just training. It's like it develops you. Like they talk about your mental too. So Jay's my big brother, my mentor, my everything. So he helped me get to where I'm at.
You had a lot of great schools that you were choosing between. I know in the last couple of weeks too, it's been a tough decision down the stretch. Just how hard was it to get from, all those schools that had offered you down to a few, down to 2, and then now down to 1? How tough was that?
It was really tough. I had to really sit back and really look at everything. That's why I postponed my other day. But yes, sir.
Okay, so with that, we're ready to hear where you will be spending your college days. The floor is yours.
All right. For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be taking my talents to the Ohio State.
Boom, baby.
So Jerquaden, you said you had to take a minute to make sure it was the right call. What are the things about Ohio State that made it the right decision for you?
Stats don't lie. Like, women lie, everybody lie, but stats don't lie. Prove every year the wide receiver use, so I love to be a part of it, and I am a part of it.
I know you were very close to Buckeye wide receiver coach Brian Hartline. You even went back to camp last month.
All right. There it is. Jerquaden Giuilford in the class. Sorry, guys. I accidentally left the room. Women lie. Stats don't lie. But our guy is in. We got Jerquaden Giuilford, a 5 wide receiver class right now. And I got something that I pulled up while he was on there. All right. Chris Olave, wide receiver, 6'1", 170 as a prospect, 247 Sports, a 92 national, 210, wide receiver 34, California 30, 4-star. That's solidly 4-star. Number 210. That's a 210 overall. That is a stud, is Chris Olave. Anyhow. The Chris Olave was a 3-star refrain. Used to be. AJ Hawk was a 3-star 10 years ago. My point is this. Yes, there are great 3-stars that develop into great prospects. By and large, this is a mathematical equation. It's a mathematical equation. They're hard line statistics. A 3-star, much less likely to turn out to be that type of dude than a high-rated 4-star. It's just math, guys. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Doesn't mean your guys might not be better at it. Your coaching staff might not be better at it. Your coaching staff might not be better at evaluating which one of those guys are those guys in developing, of course. But, for the most part, it is what it is. Hartline is insane. That kid was picking Ole Miss. Hartline got him to delay his decision. He was going to pick Ole Miss. He delayed his decision and got him back in the car, which is fantastic. And if you haven't seen his film, I played it earlier. Rewind it if you're just tuning in. But the dude he's a beast. He's a total beast. 6'2", explosive. Look, here we go. This Ryan says he's a more explosive, less polished Carnell Tate. Very similar size. Definitely less polished. Is more explosive, I think. I really like that comp. Built very similarly. Yeah, I'm with you. Your boy Jay says nobody at Ohio State can do their jobs outside of Hartline. I would say that nobody at Ohio State, when it comes to this, does their job better than Hartline. But everybody certainly does their job. Keep in mind, a ton of studs in this class, and all of them been kind of fighting with one hand tied behind their back. Chris says, Juck, do you think we land Parks or Darius Gray? I do think I'm almost ready to say yes on Parks, but I think there's one big offer that might come out to him, and we'll see if Ohio State can overcome that, because they certainly will not be offering Duron Parks a big offer. As far as Darius Gray, no, I think we're going to finish top 3 there, and that's just fine. I don't think it was ever going to happen. I think he's going to get paid really well, and he deserves it. I think that guy is pound for pound, despite being an interior offensive lineman. They aren't valued a ton just because they're interior guys. If he was a little bit bigger and he was a tackle, he would be in the Jackson Cantwell, Sam Greer conversation. But he's an interior guy. But he's just pound for pound one of the 10 best players in the country. He's going to be fantastic. NFL mauler. Love him. Adam, what's up, buddy? Doing good. Appreciate you so much, man. He sounds like Key and Peele football name. He says, Juck, do you think we get any flips our way once the house thing clears up? So we're going to see the House lawyers and the CSC fight over whether or not the ruling that the CSC made, the clearinghouse made, CSC, same thing, basically, that the clearinghouse made that collectives cannot operate like a business and pay these kids. It's contingent upon that. If they rule that this is going to be upheld, if the CSC digs its heels in and says, no, you cannot operate collectives and pay these kids like the collectives are a business, which is essentially, if I'm the collective, I am going to give this kid, say player A, I'm going to give him a deal, $4,000 deal, and he's got to show up to this event that I'm going to hold. I'm the collective. I'm going to hold an event, and I'm going to charge people to come to the event, meet the players, have a glass of wine with them, etc. And I'm going to pay that player an appearance fee of $4,000. Now, that deal, if I was a business, not a collective, that deal would be fine, and the clearinghouse would pass it. The difference is, if I'm a collective, if that passes for player A, I'm going to give the same deal to all 90 of my football players, and I'm going to keep doing that until I funnel all the money to them, which is why it's a total sham. And that's why the clearinghouse denied it and the CSC doesn't want it. So the House lawyers say that's nonsense. They are a business, and the House lawyers have some pull. They can take anything to the judge. So the House lawyers said to the CSC, we want you to reconsider that. or we're going to take it to the judge. The CSC is digging their heels in. So now it's going to go to the judge. If the judge says the CSC wins, we will see flips. We will definitely see flips because some of these schools that are intending to follow the rules and thought they could get away with it using that loophole with the clearinghouse will not be able to pay the offers that they've promised these guys. Some schools, even if they intended to follow the rules, will say, we're not going to follow the rules anymore because we've got this kid committed and we're going to pay him because we want to keep him. And they'll deal with the consequences later, like we're seeing that there are already some who are saying, screw this. But if they say, the judge says, we're going to allow collectives to operate like that, this entire thing is a sham. There is no salary cap because I can just continue to funnel money through the clearinghouse just by getting creative. I'm going to have coaching clinics that every single player is going to get paid for, appearances, autograph signings. It's essentially just make up a bunch of jobs for the guys to pay them money. And it's a sham. So if we see that, then no, I don't think we'll see a lot of flips. But if we see it upheld, that they're not going to accept that, the clearinghouse paying, then I think we'll see plenty of flips. And I think that definitely Ohio State's in great position to get a lot of those flips. The problem is I see a lot of those. So let's say I'm the school that offered a bunch of guys a bunch of money thinking I could pay him out of the clearinghouse or I could pay him out of my collective. And now that I can no longer pay him out of my collective, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to pay some of them. So I'm going to whittle that list down. The ones that had the worst deals for me, I'm going to get them out first. Well, the guy had the worst deal. It means you probably overpaid him. It means he's probably expecting a lot from another school. Doesn't sound like a normal Ohio State guy. Are we going to see a bunch of guys coming in that back into the market that are expecting a lot more money? And will there be somebody else out there still willing to pay them? It's just so depressing, dude. I just want everybody to be on the same system. That's all. Just everybody on the same system, whether it's no system or some system. Brock Boyd absolutely has crazy stat lines. Brock Boyd, record setter in Texas 6A, the highest division of Texas, in the state championship game last year with 13 receptions, which for high school is insane. I think he had 1,800 yards last year receiving, and Dave Campbell's covers just Texas high school football. Big name. Dave Campbell's has the Southlake Carroll quarterback and Brock Boyd as the number one quarterback wide receiver tandem in all of 6A Texas football. Brock Boyd is a dude. Total dude. Duke says, Chuck, do you think Hartline will end up being a head coach at Ohio State? No, I don't. And the reason I don't is because I think that he is further along in his timeline where Ryan Day won't be close to being done by the time Hartline's ready to move on, which could be in just a few years now. If he does a really good job the next 2 years as offensive coordinator, I mean, he's going to get a sweet job. When we look at Hartline's recruiting prowess, he's never failed at anything he's put his mind to. If he then goes into actually being an offensive coordinator and is successful at it with his pedigree and now a decade of coaching experience under his belt, we're not just talking about, Hartline's going to get a low-level Big 12 job. He's going to get a big job. And it won't be time yet for that to be Ohio State. It's much more likely that James Laurinaitis is on, because he's not as far along in his journey, is on the track to being the head coach, in my opinion, if it were somebody on the staff. And it's clear that James wants to be a head coach. This isn't something he's just dabbling in. There was a lot of talk before he got the linebackers position last year. Maybe you could just keep James on as a GA for one more year and go ahead and, instead of hiring him, use that position to hire a defensive line coach. So you'd have two defensive line coaches, and this defensive line coach would be the heir apparent to Larry. Then Larry retires. Then you hire James as the linebackers coach. And maybe James doesn't even want the full-time linebackers coach position like that. He's got young kids, etc. That absolutely wasn't the case. He wanted it bad. He wants to be a full-time coach. Coaching is now his profession. He wants to climb the ladder. He wants to be a DC next. Like, he is all the way in. This isn't just some, dabbling, messing around with his buddy Marcus, coming back to his alma mater. He's in this profession. He's in this profession to advance. He has got the it factor. He's got everything it takes to advance. He's smart as hell. When he walks into a room, everybody's eyes are on him. The young kids think he's awesome. Like, him and Hartline have the same exact thing going on. The only difference is Laurinaitis a little more friendly and personable than everybody. Hartline come off like kind of a jerk to some people. Put it that way. Thanks, William. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, Day's only 45. So do you think he'll get head coaching experience somewhere else, then come back, or stay OC? So I think that, there's always an opportunity for someone to come back. The interesting thing is I've heard a lot of people talk about Marcus Freeman coming back, and I don't think that is in the cards at all. I think Ohio State was a previous chapter of Marcus Freeman's life, and I think he is all Notre Dame now, and I don't think that is ever going to happen with Marcus. Though I do, despite what he said, still root for him. Thompson says, I predict the Buckeyes will win at least 3 more natties from now to 2035. Keywords at least. Once Ryan Day kicked in the door, and he's got that championship pedigree and knows how to do it, and there's belief in the building and belief in him, the program is certainly set up to win several national championships. It's not just a one-time deal. I would put a lot of money that Ryan Day will win at least one more. I've always believed that. I certainly believe that now. And if you're just looking at the rosters, if you look at 2026, if Julian Sayin has a good 2025, 2026 is absolutely loaded. That is your national championship roster. Gives you an entire offseason to portal in any holes that you find in 2025. Let's say the defensive line depth turns out to be as bad as some people think it might be. You get an opportunity to correct that in the portal. You got a good quarterback returning in year 3. You got JJ in his 3rd year. You've got experience everywhere. 2026 is a monster. I'm hoping that 2025 can click fast, and we don't got to worry about that. Will says, Juck, over under 1 rushing touchdown by Lincoln versus Texas. I think over. I believe they have him running read option in the red zone. That's really interesting. You could certainly see it. Obviously, they are not going to want to get Sayin hurt. Texas got some monsters. You don't want him running it down there. You want to add that element. Lincoln can throw. Texas has nothing on film from Ohio State's offense with Brian Hartline as the offensive coordinator. I'm still going to go under. Because I think that's going to be a really low-scoring game. I'm thinking something like 17-10. I just got a feeling that's going to be a slugfest. The offenses are going to come out sluggish. Gerard Jones promises us we're repeating. We're going to hold you to that. If it doesn't happen, that's on you. Buckeyes battle cry agrees we're going to win 1 more under Day. Confident versus every big game, but have 0 confidence against Teton. See, I think, and this could just be wishful thinking, and I thought this before the game, before the national championship, that if Ryan Day wins the national championship, he will have now given something to Ohio State and done something in his career that lifts whatever the hell it's been against Michigan off his shoulders. The way he coaches that game so tight, and I feel like now he can just be free and coach it like any other game, which he clearly hasn't done. You can see it from the look on his face. He's just always coached it different. It's just something's different about it. Now he can just be himself. He's given something to Ohio State. It's not the end of the world, and he knows that. So he's got to get it done this year, man. I mean, it'll just be a disaster. I don't even want to deal with the conversation if he doesn't get it done this year. My kid owns these vending machines. He lives in Columbus. Accidentally shipped his vending machine order to my house. So I've got all these cases of beverages in my kitchen. One of them is this Monster energy drink. Now, I was out of Diet Pepsi, so I'm drinking one of these, and it's pretty delicious. I hope it doesn't hype me all up because I don't like that jittery feeling. You know, when your skin feels like itchy, red? I hate that. Duke does not think Arch is going to be good week 1. He's got 35-7 Buckeyes. That would be fantastic. The Buckeyes Battle Cry says, my co-host agrees with you, Juck. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. Well, I certainly, listen, I'm not picking Ohio State to win the game. I said that I'm not picking them until they show me now. I said that after last year. Like, if you're going to lose this year, I'm not putting myself out there for you. You got to win it. You got to show me first. But I do believe they are going to. There we go. Mars says he coaches like James Franklin when we play them. Yeah. Julian saying truther, my man B, Hartline is so far ahead. The greatest wide receiver recruiter of all time. It's insane. Yeah. Number 1 by a million miles. Million miles. Billy says, hey, Jack, how did your kids start the vending machine business? I've been thinking about getting into it. It's really interesting. So his roommate works for a construction company, and the roommate's working at this construction company, and they're doing like a 3-year project on this massive hospital building. And they're in like year 1 of it, start to get some walls up, and all these dudes are like begging for vending machines. So the roommate comes home and says to my son, man, they're really wanting some vending machines. We never got anything to eat. And my son says, why don't we go buy some and put them in there? And they get permission to do it. So they go buy a couple of cheap vending machines, and it's just the most profitable vending machines I've ever seen. So then they get souped up vending machines, and then they think, okay, we've stumbled on to a potential entry here. What we need to do is find more of these construction sites, long-term construction sites, and go get these vending machines for these construction workers. And that's what they've done. And he's been killing it off his vending machines at construction sites. Go steal that idea, Billy. It's a good one. Kid's got it going on. Matter of fact, he's in Yellowstone this week. I think I got a picture loaded up. I can show you guys. Here he is. There's my oldest boy. He is at, is it Yellowstone or Yosemite? He's at Yosemite. That's from last night. The second tallest peak. He climbed it. Repping the Juck on Bucks on top of the mountain. There's my boy. Yeah, definitely steal that. I'm with you, buddy. I think they're going to go on a run too. Thompson says 34-13. Mark it down. Ooh, there is an interesting question. Adam asks, your favorite Buckeye team of all time, and is that team the same as your favorite season? Yes and yes. 02. However, close second is 95. Very different results. But my gosh, the 95 Buckeye team, let's see, I was 14 or 15. For some reason, back then, like, you know, I'm a freshman in high school playing football, and those are like, you know, I'm not watching like the NFL for role models. It was those 95 Buckeyes, the shiny pants, the big numbers. There you go. The Eddie jersey behind me. The 95 Buckeyes were everything to me, just burned into my brain. So much talent. So awesome. I didn't hate Coop at that point. I know, you know, Coop, I like Coop. I love the way he recruited. I loved his teams. I love the way they played. I wish the guy could have done better. I really do. But, you know, it is what it is. But 95, and then in 02, I just fell in love with Jim Tressel like so much that dude, it was just everything to me. Like, I just loved him and what he was able to do and get that team to play together. And the funniest thing was just finding out, years later, just how elite all that talent on that team was. But at the time, they talked about us like we were Wisconsin. You know what I mean? It was funny. A lot of that Cooper talent too. But yeah, man, those two teams stand out for me. And I don't think that that'll ever change because things just hit different when you're older. You get a little more jaded. Things aren't quite as impactful. But when you're younger, see, in 02, what was I? I was maybe 23. Things just feel a little bigger to me back then. Our man here going to his first Buckeye game on September 13th. That's awesome. Send pictures, juckonbucks@gmail. Vending machine NIL deal soon. Mike thinks the offense is going to be better than last year. I think it's a possibility for sure. Yeah. 95 when Timmy B ran for 300 plus in Columbus. It's funny. I was watching this thing on YouTube the other day. This kid, he was a younger Buckeye fan, and he was doing this Buckeye video, and I think he titled it, and maybe you guys watched it. It got pumped out like a ton of views. And it was, I think he titled it like the almost Buckeye era or the so close Buckeye era. And it was basically about the Cooper era. And he was going through all the seasons, and he gets to that game and he, instead of Tim Biakabatuka, he says, whatever the hell his African name is, like a really long first name, Tia Makadula Biakabatuka. And he pronounced that whole thing because he wasn't alive for that game and didn't know that everybody just called him Tim. Yeah, 95 should have never lost. Oh, Adam, how ironic. Adam asked the question. 95 was his favorite team. And he graduated in 95. You graduated in 95. Let me see your picture, bro. You look a lot younger than that. Huh. Good for you. Good for you, my man. Richie says, Juck, does Cooper not get enough credit for starting Ohio State on the trajectory of where we're at today? Not even close. What Cooper took over from Earl Bruce was a dilapidated program. He got all the boosters energized. He got tons of money. He got new facilities. He upgraded recruiting, started pipelines in Florida that we never had, Arizona. Coop brought the program from here to here, modernized the hell out of it. Coop started that juggernaut. Here's the thing. Every single coach since Earl Bruce has leveled the program up. Every single one. Every single one. Coop, then Tress, then Herbs, then Ryan Day. In their own way, they've all leveled it up. The problem is you can't go any higher than it is now. So the next guy inevitably is going to have to drop down a little bit or just be even. But yeah, Coop definitely doesn't get enough credit. All he had to do was be just a little bit better in the rivalry game, just a little bit better, and I think he'd be pretty loved. Oh, man, this is just sickening. I hate to think about it. How many natties does Cooper have if a 12-team playoff was in place the whole time at OSU? The problem is Coop didn't just suck in the game. Coop sucked in the postseason. So what makes us think he would have made that run through the end, Coop sucked in every bowl game. Emily said Tressel's players show up for him all the time, too. They love him. And how could you not? The guy is so genuine. We got Giuilford, Darren. He's so genuine. He's so real. The interesting thing to me, and I did not know this until I started this show somehow, but Michigan fans actually think of him as a crook. They think he's like a fraud. They think that's all a front. And that's just crazy to me. Like, wow. That's a bad read, man. And I understand, like, okay, he's the Ohio State coach. You're not supposed to like him. Like, I don't dislike Lloyd Carr or think he's a bad man. I don't think that about Bo Schembechler. How could you look at Jim Tressel and because of Tattoo Gate somehow think that he's a crook? And the rigged lottery for the players at camp, like they point to that, like, oh my gosh, man. What's up, Johnny? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, definitely deserves some more credit. Duke thinks 95 and 98 would be natties in a playoff. Richie, 96 and 98. I forgot to say Jim Harbaugh. Honestly, I find Harbaugh to be fascinating. I really do. I've never hated him as much as a lot of people. The thing is, I was a big, big fan of Harbaugh when he was at Stanford. Like, what he did to Pete Carroll, I hated USC. I hated USC so much back then. And when he brought that Stanford program up from the dust, from mud, it was terrible, and started beating USC and then being smug about it, like to Pete Carroll, it just needling him. Like, I loved him. But he's so bizarre, man. He's an interesting dude, interesting guy. You can't tell if he's just weird or if he's really like, if it's all a shtick. I don't know, man. Our man says, I think the Buckeyes in Hurricanes championship game was the most intense. We were underdogs to everyone, and Tressel had our team show up. It was amazing. Chad, two of his favorite coaches ever, Mark D'Antonio and Meyer. And all other Michigan fans think I'm nuts, but they both made MSU and OSU care more than Michigan. You got to respect it. No, I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I love Dino. I love what he did for Ohio high school players. He took a lot of Ohio high school players that were guys that got passed up by Ohio State and got them all together at Michigan State and gave them a platform, and they were awesome. And he won that way. It was a winning recipe. Exactly the same thing Stoops has done at Kentucky. Not going to look like that last year or this year. Who's next? Who's next that's going to take that second tier Ohio high school kid? Might it be Louisville? It just might. It just might be Louisville. Now that we've seen Stoops' right-hand man head over to Louisville. Look at how he acts, talking about Harbaugh, how he acts with Justin Herbert. That's the real Harbaugh. I don't know what that is. I don't know what how that is, bro. I don't watch the NFL much. I pay attention to the Browns, and that's about it. Because during the season, I have to spend all Sunday watching every single big game from the weekend that I can't fit in on Saturday because I have to come on here and talk about it, and I have to know what I'm talking about, or else I'll feel like a putz. Megamac thinks the offense could be better if Sayan is what I think he could be. Defense to me will be a step back. D-line concerning, especially the depth. Praying for good health there. Yeah, we don't know what Hartline's going to bring here. I think they certainly have the talent on the offense to be better. Yeah. Like Dan Lanning swimming with recruits. That's how he acts with Herbert. Wow. Okay. Still a title level team compared to every other top contender currently. Going to need more things to go right than last year. This is what's so irritating to me. Yes. You look at this team. Sure, it's got holes, man. Everybody's got holes. There is no perfect team this year. There is no team that stands out ahead of that pack. Everybody's neck and neck. That's what's so exciting about this year. My son and I, my son Carmi, the middle guy, were just talking about this the other day. 2019 LSU and 29 Ohio State. That game, in my opinion, would have been a really, really close game. And it just infuriates me when people just anoint the 2019 LSU Tigers as one of the greatest teams ever. And Ohio State didn't get their crack at them. I think it's a close game. I think it's an either way game. And Mike thinks that Max Clare is going to offer a dimension that Ryan Day's office has never seen. If they take advantage of it, he absolutely could. Brandon says, cool that we landed another receiver. Michigan has whipped us in the trenches, and the gap for them is widening in the recruiting class. Can we start trades and move a 5-star wide receiver for some defensive end, defensive lineman? I get it, bro. I get it. Not everybody can be Brian Hartline. You know what I mean? Juck, are you headed to any games? This is interesting, Emily. I may have an opportunity coming my way with the show. We may be doing something a little different here soon. If that's the case, I just might be at a lot more games. Just might be. We'll see. All right, friends. I appreciate you so much. Hold on. Let me get to one more comment. LTP18 says, am I the only person that thinks other than D-line depth, Ohio State is just as good as last year? Okay, I read that wrong. I thought you were about to say Ohio State's defensive line depth is just as good as last year. Dude, if the quarterback is good, they are. They're great. They're awesome. That's all we need. A good quarterback. I think Julian's the dude. That's it. This team's loaded. This team is loaded. We just saw the blue chip ratio. Not that means everything, but on paper, in a very simplistic, boring metric, it's the most talented team in the country, tied with Alabama. Like, nothing's changed on that front. Oh, my man Adam gifted 5 Juck on Bucks memberships. Thank you so much. There is a Juck on Bucks members video that I'm going to be releasing right after this. When I'm done with this, I recorded that video. I'm going to be releasing that. Matter of fact, maybe we'll just do it live. Tell you what, I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to start a members only stream because I've got something to talk to the members about. If you want to join the membership, that link is underneath the description of every video. But we have got to talk about some things that I can't talk about to the general public. So that'll be it for now. I do appreciate you all so much for joining me for a 52-minute video that I thought was going to be 15. But thanks for bringing it in the comments section. I'll always stick around if you guys got some good stuff to talk about in the comments section. But the Buckeyes land wide receiver number 5, Jerquaden Giuilford, the number 1 player in the state of Indiana, was a 3-star last week, now a 4-star, top 300 player in the country, a smooth wide receiver at 6'2", 190 that Brian Hartline really wanted. And this is a guy with NFL upside for sure. No doubt about it. So I appreciate you guys for joining me as always, and I will talk to you soon. Juck and Bucks out.